What's up, y'all? Welcome to Darrell DTV. Today we're gonna talk mixtapes. That's right, mixtapes as in mix cassettes. Now, I'm a huge fan of mixtapes. I have well over 2,000 in my personal collection. I'm constantly on the lookout for them. My preference is rap music, mixing, turntablism, soul, funk, things of that nature, and strictly vinyl. Nothing tracked, nothing on the computer. Not that they have any of those mixes on cassette, but I just like the straight, raw, real, live type of turntablist flavor when it comes to my mixtapes. So that's what we're going to talk about today. I've been wanting to make a video for a little while about my top 10 favorite mixtapes of all time. I want to share that with you guys today. So we're going to go through 10 of them. My personal top 10. Let's talk about it. All right. Number one, the first tape on the list, and this is in no particular order, is my favorite mixtape DJ of all time. One of my favorite DJs of all time. That's right. The world's famous Kid Capri. And today we're going to talk about the 52 Beats cassette. Now, this is a super popular, super well-known cassette tape. For those that know, this is the tape where Kid Capri used 50 different break beats on one tape. All of the classics, you name them, Kid Capri has them on there. 52 classic breaks and sample records. He gets busy on this. This is one of his biggest selling cassette tapes of all times. Kid Capri, I recommend all of his mixes, all of his mixtapes. He is no doubt one of the greatest, if not the greatest, mixtape DJ and just DJs overall of all time. He's my favorite. And this one was one of those Tape King cassettes. And they were famous for the clear cassette with the print on it. I don't know what pressing this was. Was it a first pressing, a second pressing? I'm not exactly sure, but I was very excited when I finally got my hands on that. This one is a classic. This one is one for the books, baby. Kid Capri, 52 Beats. I can't say enough good things about this tape. This cassette tape, this mix cassette. All right, get a good look at that. 52 Beats, classic cuts. Number two is a good buddy of mine from right here in Phoenix, Arizona. This is one of our local heroes, and this is DJ M2. M2 did this cassette called The Get Down, where he spends a whole lot of breaks, a whole lot of funk, a whole lot of 45s on here. This was M2's first cassette, and let me tell you, this is probably the best mix I think he ever put out. For my first cassette sounded like crap. I wouldn't even let you listen to my first one. But this one right here, I would recommend this all day. For a first cassette, this is an instant classic. Got that famous M2 tag on there. Let me see. There you go. Can you see that? See, that's M2's handwriting right there. And they did the classic cover. Look at that cover, the old Polydor record label cover. The Get Down. You know what's crazy about this cassette is when he put this out, I got a bunch of copies from him, and I started passing them around. When I would go out of town and I would go different places, and I kid you not, it seems like after I started passing this cassette around, I started seeing parties all over the country, funk and soul parties, and they would call them the Get Down. I personally think it was because of this mixtape. Instant classic. You got to hit up M2 if you want one of these joints, because you can't have this one. DJ M2, Phoenix, Arizona all day. That's the Get Down right there. That's number two. Number three is a super, super classic. Anybody that collects mixtapes and you heavy into that New York City style of mixing and cassette collecting, this is Tony Touch 50 Live MCs. This is one of the most popular, best-selling mix tapes of all time. This is the tape where Tony Touch went and got 50 MCs to freestyle and do verses on this cassette. As a matter of fact, there's actually Inspector Deck from Wu-Tang Clan does a verse on here, and then he did that same verse on one of the Wu-Tang albums. So it was like he actually called Tony Touch and asked if it would be okay if he was to use that same verse on one of the Wu-Tang albums. I can't remember the exact song, but yeah, that's how cool this tape is. It's got some early Wu-Tang. It's got Boot Camp Click. It's, you name it, the MCs are on here. That's an instant classic. Another Tape Kings joint. I bought this one at Just Dance Records in Tempe, Arizona. I bought that back when I first moved here in '98. Price tag on there. For those that know, they know. Tony Touch 50 Live MCs. Doesn't get any better. This is a classic tape. This is essential for your collection if you're into that stuff. Now the next tape I want to bring out is one of the most popular mixtape DJs out there. Very creative, very well known, and this is one of my favorite in my top 10, and that is DJ Cash Money. And this is the WKIS Holiday Head Twister tape. This is just Cash Money doing Cash Money. It's got a real cool intro where it's got the girls singing. I think it's got the De La Soul playing, and Cash Money's on the microphone getting it in or whatnot. This is a fun tape. I remember buying this tape from a store in Milwaukee back in the late 90s called Envisions. Envisions was this hip-hop store on the south side. It was Latino owned, and it basically covered all of the stuff in the Latino culture. So you could go there and get lowrider videos. You could get all of the Hispanic and Latino mixtapes from those DJs. You could get all of the fashions, the Latino fashions and the Hispanic fashions, clothes, t-shirts, hats. They had lowrider bikes in there. It was an incredible store. They're still open to this day. Look them up, Envisions in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, for all of your Hispanic and Latino hip-hop needs. The culture is up in there. But they had a huge selection of mix cassettes back in the day, and that's where I picked up this bad boy right here. So that's DJ Cash Money, WKIS, the Holiday Head Twister. This is a great cassette. I recommend it. Pick that one up if you can find it. Now, the next cassette I want to share with you guys is from an old buddy of mine from Milwaukee. Sadly, he passed away back in 2007, but this was a guy that I watched intensively as I was learning more and more how to DJ. This is DJ Rock D, and the name of this tape is Coast to Coast. This was Rock D. He had moved to New York, to Brooklyn, I believe, back in the 90s, and he made this after he got to New York. And then when he got back to Milwaukee, I was able to get my hands on one. I bought one directly from him. Rock D was an incredible DJ. He was very well known throughout the city, very well liked. He was super popular. He was one of the top DJs in the city, and he had, done all of the parties, all of the concerts. He was just an incredible guy, super talented, battle DJ, mixed DJ, club DJ. He even spun house music as well. But that was the homie right there. And this is one of my favorite cassettes. I'm glad I still have a copy of this one. But that was my man, 50 grand. DJ Rock D, funking your head up coast to coast. True Baller Series. For those that know, they know. Rest in peace to DJ Rock D. That's number 5. We halfway through, y'all. So y'all stay with me, all right? Now, my next tape that I want to share with you is one of my favorite DJs in the whole world from one of my favorite groups in the whole world. This is Rob Swift from the X-Men. And this was the famous Pure Moods cassette. Rob Swift is down with the Executioners, but I'm old school, so I'll call them the X-Men. Rest in peace, Rock Raider. But this cassette right here, Rob Swift, I always described him as like a mad scientist on the turntables. You never know what you were going to get from this guy. And this cassette, Rob taught me a lot about samples, a lot about the old jazz music and R&B music, and he gets real creative on here. He plays a lot of those old samples that were in a lot of your favorite rap songs that came out in the 90s. And he's got Grandmaster Flash on here dropping jewels. He's got Kid Capri on here dropping jewels. He's got some of the X-Men alumni on here dropping jewels. It's great. You can tell by some of the stuff he plays and also by some of the words he spits that he was way ahead of his time. And he was saying on here how one day DJing could just blow up and DJs could be putting out their own albums and this, that, and the other thing. And that's what happened. That's exactly what happened. DJing just blew up. I bought this directly from Rob. And if you check that out, he even signed it for me. Darrell D, enjoy the tape. Rob Swift. So that came directly from Rob. And I played this, check this out. I played this so much that I popped it. But not to worry, because I got another copy. But I wanted to show you that OG copy with Rob's signature on it. And I got all them old X-Men joints, but that was my joint right there. The Rob Swift Pure Moves. Rob Swift, I would recommend any of his tapes. They are soothing, they're healing, and they're very educational. And you never know, and it doesn't matter which one, but the ones I would recommend the most, this technically is his second release. His first release was called Soulful Fruit, but Soulful Fruit was more like an album, because to me it's more like an album because it actually came out on vinyl, and I don't have that on tape, just on vinyl. But this was the one for me that just made me a huge fan of Rob. And another one I would recommend is Soul Child. So Pure Moods, Soul Child, Soulful Fruit. Those are like my top 3 Rob Swift cassette tapes. And if you can find those, I would recommend you listen to them. They are incredible. If there was any tape thus far out of all of the tapes I would recommend, if somebody was trying to get into mixtapes, it would be anything from Rob Swift. So that's Rob Swift, Pure Moods from the legendary X-Men crew. That's what's up right there. Now my next cassette I want to share, I need your help. I need a little bit of help on this one. This was a tape I bought. I can't remember if I bought this in Milwaukee or if I bought this in Chicago. But this is a tape called by the Vinyl Addicts called Concoctions. Look at that. Check how cool that artwork is. And these were from Chicago DJs. I believe one was Spontaneous, DJ Oates, and I think the third guy was DJ Steezo. Their names are kind of hidden in there. You can't see them, but okay, there's Oates right there. And I think Spontaneous is over here somewhere. And I think the third guy is Steezo. Now what I need help with is I lost this tape. I don't know if I lost it or somebody stole it or if I lent it to someone and never got it back, but I don't have this tape anymore and I need this tape desperately because I haven't heard it. This is like a lot of underground Chicago rap groups and artists on this tape. really dope underground Midwest rap songs on here. So it was very special to me. I love it, but I lost it. So if anybody out there can hook me up with this or even a copy of this tape, holla at me. Maybe we can do some trades or something. I got joints. You know what I'm saying? Vinyl Addicts. Spontaneous. Or Concoctions. Oats, Spontaneous, and Steezo. Okay, the next tape I want to share with you is a local cat here in Phoenix, Arizona. I moved to Phoenix in 1998, and I found this tape pretty soon after I moved here. This is from the hometown hero, DJ Z-Trip. And this tape is called The Unknown. This is a classic tape. I liked it a lot because it had a lot of underground music on here. And Z-Trip was just doing his Z-Trip thing, just getting busy. He's got some Hyro on here. He's got some MF Doom on here. He's got some, I think, what are those guys? I think he's got some AC Alone on here. And the crazy thing about it is, he's like, this is what he says on the tape. He says it's a, what does it say here? It says it's a rare non-stop mix of unknown hip-hop joints and remixes that you never heard before and you'll probably never hear again. See, that's pretty cool. That's a good way of getting somebody to buy a tape. That's what the print looks like. Z-Trip, The Unknown, classic Phoenix, DJing. You guys know who Z-Trip is, right? I'm sure you do. But that's one of my favorite tapes. That's one of my top 10 tapes of all time. DJ Z-Trip, The Unknown. Alright, now this next tape that I want to share with you guys is one of my favorite tapes of all time. You know who it is? It's one of my tapes. That's right. DJ Darrell D. And this is called Ain't No Shame in My Game. And as you can see from the cover, a brother had it going on back in the day. I sold a lot of these tapes. This tape has a mixture of a little bit of everything. We've got a lot, mostly rap music, but there's a little extra stuff in there, a little extra creative stuff in there. And of course the cover is banging. I think more people bought it for the cover than anything else. I might not even like the mixing on here. I'm not exactly sure. But yeah, I can put my tape on my top 10 list if I want to. Take it easy. I like it. I like this tape a lot. I actually like my tapes because I like my tapes so much because I make them for me. I don't really make them for commercial use or anything like that. So I'm always putting my favorite songs on my tape. So what's not to like about that? But there you go. Darrell D, Ain't No Shame in My Game. One of my top 10 favorite cassettes of all time. Ladies and gentlemen, we are down to the very last cassette. Now this cassette, I will say, is probably my favorite cassette of all times because it just put me up on so much cool stuff. Again, it's DJ Tony Touch, and this one is the famous 5 Deadly Venoms of Brooklyn. So he went and got his crew, Tony Touch, DJ Premier, Evil D, PF Cuttin, and Mr. C. So you got 5 top tier DJs for the price of one. Anybody that's heard this cassette before knows where I'm coming from. They know how ill this cassette is, and they know how much of a classic this is. Now, one of the things that I really loved is on Premier's, this cassette put me up on a lot of stuff. On Premier's set, this is the first cassette where somebody played live rap concert footage on a cassette. So he's got like, let me see. He's got Live at Harlem World, where this is the first place that I ever heard the Busy Bee versus Kool Moe Dee battle. It's on this cassette. Premier also put Live at the Amphitheater with Double Trouble on here. He put Cold Crush Brothers on here live. Then he put some old school like Tila Rock, the LL Cool J I Need a Beat, Jazzy J remix, even Buffalo Gals is on here. All of these DJs get busy. Evil D, one of my favorites of all time. Tony Touch, come on man, Tony Touch. Man, this one is a classic. It is a classic. I would definitely recommend this one. If there was 2 cassettes ever that I would recommend to somebody who's trying to get into mixed cassettes, it would be this one along with pretty much any Rob Swift tape. The 5 Deadly Venoms of Brooklyn. Tony Touch, DJ Premier, DJ Evil D, PF Cuttin, and Mr. C. And you know, they that's that whole martial arts thing, and they kind of started off with Try by 12. You know, that Try by 12 beat. Sick, man, sick. There you go. 5 Deadly Venoms of Brooklyn. I'm getting tongue-tied here. Alright, so that's my top 10. Let me know what some of your favorite mixtapes are. Let me know what you think of what some of my favorite mixtapes are. And let me know what you would recommend that I listen to. I'm going to do more mixtape videos like this. And so I hope that you tune in again. Stay tuned. There's more coming. Thank you for joining me. This is Darrell D TV. I'm Darrell D, and I'm out. Peace to Rock Raider.